What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the 1796 Sports Podcast. Um, I don't know if I would say this is going to be another depressing episode. We're talking about the most anticipated series every year for Tennessee baseball, but we're also talking about another series lost, Jim. 4 out of the last 5 now. Um, Down to 14 and 10 in the SEC now, which compared to last year is pretty bad, but I'll make the case that it's not as bad as people are thinking compared to other national champions year after their year after hangover. But this weekend, man, weird from the beginning. You try to start the game Friday night. Auburn gets a I don't like that ball hit the wall. That was not a home run. That quick 2-0 lead. You spin Doyle. Um, it's just weird from the start, and then you get mollywopped in that game that finished on Friday. You play 9 innings of game two on Saturday. We finished that one Sunday morning, and then you get mollywopped in the third game. So, Jim, just what are your thoughts right now on this team?
Honestly, I don't know what to really say about it. I mean, the pitching's pretty has been pretty good to where you wouldn't expect. It's mainly the Tennessee offense. It's just you just don't get those games where Tennessee scoring 10 plus runs like they were last year. You
No,
don't have Christian Moore who hits 3 home runs a game. You don't have Blake Burke. You don't have Dylan Dreiling. You're missing so much from this team, so it's hard. It obviously pisses everybody off. It pissed me off to see the lackluster performance from everybody. But like you said, it was weird from the start. You played a doubleheader twice. It felt like
yeah, yeah,
you pretty much won on a you know they shouldn't have won that game, to be honest. If it didn't get postponed till Sunday, honestly, I thought Tennessee was going to lose and could have gotten swept. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just weird. It's weird seeing this. I'm not gonna say this team's bad, even though I say it because I'm mad all the time.
yeah.
This team's not bad. They're 37 and 11. You can't say they're bad. Yeah, we might not host a super, but I mean, you're gonna get into the postseason. And uh, Billy, we actually have this theory that if Tennessee could sweep Vandy and take two from Arkansas, they might get to host a super. So we'll
Yeah,
talk about that later. But I mean, uh, Auburn, yeah, it was just a wacky series. I mean, you can't really say anything much about it. It's just the umpiring was atrocious,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, just a wacky weekend. I don't know.
Billy, what's your outsider take?
yeah. It's honestly been weird seeing Tennessee scuffle the way they have at home. They've been so dominant at home. I mean, other teams would walk into Lindsey Nelson and have already lost the series. Because the students already chirping them and weirdly enough, I don't know if you guys have seen this or felt this. The student engagement feels a little bit different too, with the seats being a
Yes.
little bit further down the line and the students having to stand the whole time. I've heard about that. I heard about that earlier last week, and I didn't think much of it. But I like watching Tennessee. I mean, it's a great program, and obviously it might be hate watching, but it's a fun program to watch, and I watch a lot of their games, and I sense that it's still a good environment, but I mean, early in the Vitello years, I don't know what they call them, the first base rowdies or something. I forget what they called that section, but
Yeah.
I mean that was like right out of COVID, and you had students showing up. I mean, really to every home game, just raising hell, and I don't really feel as much of that this year, and that's not a huge deal. But I think it plays into it a little bit, and the park is still being renovated. I think Tony's been frustrated this year, and you saw it in Game Three, which I thought was pretty funny. Um, for him to talk to all four umpires, but it's just Tennessee's they're not as good. I mean, what we've seen from national champions the year after, and like the point you made off air before we started recording, Ryan, like this isn't as bad though. Mississippi State fell off the map. Ole Miss fell off the map. So LSU not didn't really fall off the map. They still ended up making a regional, and I think almost winning that regional against North
Yeah.
Carolina last year. So I kind of compare it to LSU last year a little bit, where you still have a ton of talent, but you had to bring in a lot of transfers, and you're trying to rely on guys like Gavin Keelan, who is a good player but played in the ACC. Andrew Fisher, who's a really good player, but he's the guy, right? Curly scuffling big time. He didn't have to play well last year, but this year he's got to be the guy, and that he's felt the pressure. And you have other guys like Antigua and Marin and some younger guys that have to play better than they have. But look, it's baseball, right? And I agree with you, Jim, that Tennessee can still host the Super. Now they probably need to sweep Vandy. If they don't sweep Vandy, they probably need to go sweep Arkansas, which isn't likely. So
Mhm.
the likely scenario is Tennessee still hosts the regional, but it has to go on the road for a Super. But you never
Yep.
know what could happen in the regional you're paired with either. Tennessee may still end up hosting a Super if some carnage happens. So guys, they're still really good. They're still talented. They just haven't been able to materialize much. And the big thing I've noticed is after Liam Doyle, it's kind of throw your hands up. Like
Mhm.
after
Yeah.
Friday night, Tennessee's pretty beatable. And if you get into their pen, even on Friday night, you saw against LSU, LSU got into their pen and ended up winning that Friday night game, which was crazy. But you see it a lot with baseball teams. You have a dominant guy in game one, but after that, it's just it's hard to it's hard to win games. So they're still really good. They're still talented, and I still think they can do some damage. They gotta change some things though. I think they need to make some adjustments. I don't know what that is, but they need to and they need to find a way to get some wins here down the stretch, or else, guys, if it gets ugly, like if they lose the series this weekend and they go to Arkansas and lose, there's a chance they don't even host a regional. I think they still
Yeah.
will, but and then Hoover's only a single elimination tournament now, so there's a lot of different possibilities. But you still have Tony Vitello at the helm, and I don't think Tennessee fans have much to worry about. Now you may not make Omaha, but they'll still make a run in the postseason.
Mhm.
Billy, you should have seen our the 1796 Sports Twitter account mentions on on yesterday during the game when I insinuated that the environment isn't as good as it used to be. Jim, I don't know if you saw any of that
I did.
fallout. Um, I,
People are
I was
nuts.
being called a retard, a dumb motherfucker, like just whatever you want to. That it was in our mentions. I don't think the environment has been as good, and maybe the team isn't holding up their end of the bargain right now either. But you think it'd be better from a defending national champion, but it's just it's a weird spot to be in. As baseball fans that are kind of new to this, at least most of the fan base is. I was at games in 2018 in Tony's first year, but not everybody was. I remember watching us get beat by Florida 22-5 because they did it
Mm,
before the run rule. It was before the fifth inning, Billy.
yeah,
Like it was a bloodbath. But we've come a long way since then. It's just not something Tennessee fans are used to at this point. But
yeah,
like you said, it's we're still 14-10. We have the same conference record as Vanderbilt. We are there's I think it's like 8 teams within a game of each other in the SEC standings. I
yep,
mean, the conference is top to bottom pretty solid this year. Like there's only two
yeah.
two teams really that can't really compete with you this year, and that's South Carolina and Missouri. And it's just tough. But Jim, do you have any more thoughts on the team overall or the Auburn series before we hop into some preview of this series coming up this weekend?
I agree with Billy. It's like you get past that Friday game, and if Doyle doesn't give you six and some change, or seven or more, whatever, it you're nervous. If Tennessee doesn't give you the 8 runs, the 7 runs like it did last year, like I said before, so it's going to be interesting. Like I said, we don't know. They could turn it around this week and use the Vandy series as like a momentum builder. That's what you could hope for as a Tennessee fan, or like Billy said, this could turn into bad news. You lose the series at home again, and then go to Arkansas, which is they're playing very well. I mean, they just swept the number one team in the country. So,
Yep.
um, but yeah, no, the team's got to figure it out. Uh, so I saw someone on Twitter and I agreed with it, but they were talking about how the veteran leadership really isn't there. All you have is Hunter
Yeah.
Ensley. I mean, that's all you have in that locker room to me. And Dean Curley's in his own head so he can't really be that much of a veteran type player. And yeah, but hopefully they turn around. I mean, they got the talent.
Yeah.
They have the talent. It's just they need to figure it out. But they're wasting too much time.
Even if we do end up scuffling, maybe even winning, just two of these last six games, and we do have to go on the road for a regional.
Might be a good thing.
Well, hell, our
Yeah,
home record is 6-6, and our away record is 8-4
yeah,
in the conference. I mean, but we've done it. We did it at Clemson 2 years ago, and we won a super. Granted, it was at Southern Miss, but they're a good program. We went and won a super. Or we've done that before on the road. Now we didn't do much in Omaha that year, but hell, at least we made it. And nobody thought that team would be doing anything
Hmm.
when they were 5-10 with Vanderbilt coming to town that year. And that's
Which
when
I'm
things.
excited to hear about Vandy because I haven't really paid attention to them this year.
Yeah, I
So
mean, just Billy, I'm sure you can speak to it. I mean, would you say y'all's best hitter is? I mean, obviously, average wise, it's Riley Nelson, but to me, I think, I mean, in power wise, it's Brody Johnston. But I think top to bottom, this lineup is certainly better than what Vanderbilt has had the last 3 to 4 years.
yeah. It is. They're more competitive. The at bats are better. They're not looking at every first pitch strike. They brought in a new hitting coach, Jason King, who's actually the head coach at Dayton, and I think he's changed a lot. For the most part, mentally, they still don't have a ton of raw power. I think they're just over 50 home runs on the season, so they're still not even comparable really to Tennessee offensively. But they walk a lot. They don't strike out a ton. They struggle with really good lefties, which Doyle is, so that should be interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah, offensively, you mentioned Nelson. He's a JUCO kid that has some power, but man, he mostly just hits for average. Like he gets on base. And Brody Johnson, a freshman, is a guy they've needed desperately.
yeah,
He's got 9 home runs, doesn't have the best average, but he can get hot in a series and really carry Vandy. He had a huge hit to the left center gap to tie the game against Alabama on Sunday, which was huge. And then Braden Holcomb, who's been huge as well the last couple of weeks, had a home run to dead center, and that won the game. And he had already hit a home run in the eighth inning of that game. He had a triple the at bat before, so he's hot right now too. RJ Austin is a guy this weekend that I look at. If he plays really well, I like Vandy's chances just because of how well Nelson's been hitting and Holcomb and Johnston, and they have some other guys that have some good at bats and will get on. But those are their core three guys power wise. So yeah, they're better offensively than they were last year. They pitching and defense really hasn't changed much. Like Vandy's ceiling, pitching and defense wise, is always pretty high. Wasn't as good last year, but JD Thompson, who you guys saw in Game 3 last year in Nashville, is really good. He's their ace this year. They got a transfer kid from Georgetown, Cody Bowker, who's been solid on Saturdays. He's scuffled a little bit the last couple of weeks, but they're not their Friday guy, their Sunday guy, Connor Fennell, is electric. He's a sidewinder guy. His fastball tops out at about 80, 88, 89, but his off speed stuff is gross. And Vandy really hasn't lost. He's 5-0, if I'm not mistaken, in his starts. So they've been really good on Sundays. Their problem has been winning Fridays. They're really good at home, but when they go on the road, like the Oklahoma game, Kyson Witherspoon had a really good start. They couldn't win that game. They lose game two, but they've won a lot of game threes on the road. So this weekend, if they can win either game one or two, I feel really good about their chances because, like I said, game threes they've been really good. And they're fundamental. They're fundamentally sound. It's the opposite of Tennessee. Like Tennessee's approach is they're going to get a few guys on, they're going to hit a home run. Now they haven't really been doing that this year. I think that's been a big problem.
yeah,
But this is a matchup that's very different. When Vandy gets on base, they're looking to steal and move guys over.
Hmm.
When Tennessee gets on, they're looking to hit the bombs, and it's so different. That's why I love watching that these two teams match up. But I just think this weekend I look at RJ Austin. If he plays really well and the other guys that have been hitting well for Vandy continue to hit well, I like Vandy's chances. But you're in Knoxville and it's tough to win, although it hasn't necessarily been as tough this year. So that's why I think it's going to be such a fun series.
Jim, go ahead and tell Billy why you were just laughing.
Well,
When
I
he
mean, I'm sure he knows. I mean, it's literally you get on first base, you steal because it's at this point. I think we're averaging 8 to 10 stolen bases against us, and it's sad because
Yeah,
it's not even on Cannon Peebles. Both between Coons and Phillips,
Phillips.
they take 20 seconds to throw the ball to the
Yeah,
home plate, and by the time they're halfway to second, it's over. And
yeah,
I just want to speak on the fans too. I think this weekend will be a difference though, because depending on the weather, but this past weekend it was pouring. Not a lot of people went, and the fans are pissed off. I think they're going to want to take it to our crosstown rival and cross state rival, and because this is a big series. I mean, for both teams,
oh yeah.
and you know but yeah, I'm going back to the stolen base thing. It's sad. My fat ass could steal on Phillips. I'm just saying.
see that, and we've talked about it, Jim. Like he's so electric without people on base, but out of the stretch, it's just kind of just a it's an adventure for sure.
Well, yeah, you're giving people free bases, and like I said before, the offense, like Billy said, we're not hitting home runs like we usually are, to where we need that 5 runs is like a struggle to us now,
Well,
and
it's the
it's
home runs have been a band aid because all these base running issues and letting people steal and some of the errors. It's been a consistent thing for
yeah. I
this
miss Cal
program,
Stark. I miss Cal
and
Stark a lot.
it's been pretty consistent under Tony because, like Billy said, the focus is hit home runs and overpower people at the plate. Like all the focus when they pitch is at the guy at the plate. That's why they get stolen on. So
Yep.
it's not perfect, but hopefully we start hitting home runs again. So, um, Billy, y'all's Friday night guy is JD Thompson, correct?
Is
Yep.
that the same lefty that
Yeah,
always talks shit?
yeah, last year game 3 in Nashville, y'all had already won the
Yeah,
series. So the game mattered, but in reality, it really didn't matter a ton that Vandy won that. I think just for their psyche to get the win, it was big. But a couple weeks prior, he had gotten ejected against Florida for having a foreign
yep,
substance on his forearm, and turns out it was a combo of sweat and I think sunscreen, which every pitcher uses in the SEC.
yep,
Um, if we're being honest, he just happened to get caught, and yeah, that never happens under Corbin, which is why it's so surprising. But that was SEC wide news. Like that kind of spread like a wildfire, and people heard about it. Tennessee obviously knew about it. So on Sunday during his start, obviously the Tennessee players were letting him hear it. He was pitching really well. I mean, he was shoving against that Tennessee lineup, and I think in the sixth or the seventh, he walked off and rubbed his elbow and did a little
yeah,
money sign or
yeah,
whatever. And you know, yeah, it's a little showmanship, but yeah, and he talks a lot. Like he'll stare you down. I think last year he was a little bit more boisterous than he is this year. He's a little bit more businesslike, so he hasn't talked as much or been as showy. But he's a guy. He said it after last year's game 3 with the media, and I was there. He was like, man, we've had a lot of frustration with those guys over the years. Like I think he kind of let it out, and he said he's excited for this weekend to pitch Friday night. So Liam Doyle against JD Thompson is going to be fun.
yeah.
That's going to be a fun. I can see a low scoring game. Whichever team gets into the pin first probably wins. But man, if Liam Doyle shoves it, I find it hard to believe Vandy wins that. I think the more important games are games 2 and 3. What does Marcus Phillips do? And does Tennessee have much pitching left? I think that's going to be key for Vandy. But yeah, JD Thompson, I'm excited to see. There's going to be some talk. I mean, there's talk every time these teams get together,
Oh
but
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if he finally kind of lets Tennessee hear it this year, because like I said, he really hasn't talked a ton this year. But yeah, I know Tennessee fans remember him, and the players probably remember him too.
I mean it's like I think Tennessee scored either no runs or 1 run in that.
Yeah, it was 3-0, I think.
Yeah, it was a great pitching performance to watch, and it was very annoying when he did hit the little whatever that
Yeah.
was. So, but anyway, it sounds like Friday night, like you said, JD Thompson's job might not be, go out and only allow 2 runs or less, but eat a bunch of innings because it sounds like
Yep.
Vanderbilt sets up pretty good for Saturday and Sunday if they can get 6, 7 innings out of JD Thompson. So, like you said, whoever gets to that pin first probably is going to win Friday night and might be set up better for the rest of the series. And you can say that about any series in the SEC, but if Vanderbilt sets up better on Sunday anyway with Fennel, I mean, it
Yeah.
could be bad news bears for Tennessee. Jim, what's your key going into these 3 games in Cape Town this weekend?
Score runs. I mean, like
Yeah,
like I said, I mean, you got. I mean, Liam Doyle has to do Liam Doyle stuff because Tennessee, honestly, if Tennessee loses Friday, to me, it's a guaranteed loss in the series. The way Tennessee has been on Sundays, Marcus Phillips being either dominant or absolute trash. I mean, Tennessee needs to take Friday and take the momentum into Saturday, and then Tennessee's lucky. I mean, they're starting AJ Russell on Sunday. I mean, and he's progressively getting more, pitches in his arsenal. I'm assuming this Sunday he'll maybe get to 50, 60 pitches.
yeah.
Um,
I think he would have gone further yesterday if it wasn't for those 3 straight singles. You know,
yeah, oh yeah. But that's my key is like you just need the consistency of the other 2 days pitchers between Marcus Phillips. When he's on.
yeah,
But when he's giving up that 1-2 hit and then people are stealing on him, you could tell. I mean, I was a pitcher in high school. That would get in my head too. So you gotta honestly, I'm still like speechless on this team because 1 through 9 they're a fantastic order. They have a lot of good hitters, but they're all there's like 7 that aren't hitting and then 2 that are. So
yeah.
I mean, you can't. There's nothing really much else to say about Tennessee. They're loaded. They have a bunch of talent. They could beat all these teams, but Vandy's coming in. They're gonna want to win this series. They haven't won this series in a couple years, so they have a little extra motivation compared to Tennessee. So we'll see what happens.
The last time Vanderbilt beat Tennessee in baseball, I was still there. I was at Cool Beans the night they wrapped up the series. Um, so that was 4 years ago, 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and I said earlier they both have the same record. They're both fighting for the same things um, to try to host a regional. I mean, it's going to be a hotly contested, slugfest over there. Like it's going to be fun to watch. I wanted to say this just out of respect for Bryce. If Austin P goes to the Nashville regional or the Knoxville regional, I think both of them have to watch out. I think whoever the higher seed will be,
Yeah.
if they both end up hosting, whoever the lower seed will be will probably get Austin P in their regional. So they're fighting for that too. I mean, Austin P's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've been following the Govs, Billy, but
Yeah. No, they're good. Roland Fanning's a hell of a coach,
yeah,
and
we
really the last few years they've been on the national radar. He went viral for the big Mountain Dew
yeah,
bottle, and that's a fun program. Speaking of, there's a ton of good baseball in the state. MTSU has a good program.
yep.
Tennessee Tech is pretty good. I don't know much about Memphis, but I know like Lipscomb and
ETSU is
Belmont.
good.
Yeah, ATSU is good. Lipscomb and Belmont are always pretty solid. They've been a little down the last few years, but there's a ton of good baseball in the state. But Jim, you mentioned Marcus Phillips. I said Vandy's key is R.J. Austin. I think for Tennessee, it's Marcus Phillips, and you could say that about every series for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
But you go back to the SEC tournament last year. I think it was the second game that Tennessee won, the semi game. Of
Against
course, Vandy
Vanderbilt.
won. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phillips pitched his butt off, pitched probably the game of the season for him last year, and
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of his coming out party. And he was talking all kinds of crap to
Oh yeah,
Vandy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I was like, who is this guy? But he was talking it, but he was shoving, and I think towards the end of the game, he got into it with one of the Vandy players, headed to first base, and kept talking, and I think he had to get pulled back from Vitello with some of the players,
Yeah.
and that's just like he can do that. Like he can be that guy, and if he is that guy on Saturday after a Liam Doyle win on Friday, that's that's doomsday for Vandy. I mean, if Phillips is on, it's kind of like Doyle. It's gonna be hard for Vandy to win. So I think Phillips the key for Tennessee this weekend, just like I think RJ Austin is the key for Vandy. Like Tennessee on Saturdays goes as Phillips goes, but if he has one of those starts, like you said, Jim, where the runners are getting on and they're stealing on him, and he's done after the third inning, then I like Vandy's chances. So I think a lot of it rides on Marcus Phillips.
Yeah. You know, Jim, and I'm sure you know. I mean, Phillips won us. He won us a game in Baton Rouge last weekend. He only gave up three
Yeah, he
runs
pitched on
on.
him.
He only gave up. I don't know if it was all three runs Auburn got before that we got to the ninth inning there because we were down 3-0. But he only gave up at max 3 runs. I don't quite remember off the top of my head. Like he pitched well this past weekend too. The only start that was really a disaster for him was at Ole Miss this year when they stole 8 bases on him in like 2 1/3 innings. Um, I mean, he's been pitching good. Besides the whole out of the stretch thing, he's been pretty good. So I think that goes in Tennessee's favor. Hopefully, um, Billy, I know you're in your commute home now. I want you to get off any last thoughts and any plugs before we move on to some other things here. Just the two of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I want to say this too about this weekend. I think if Vandy wins the series, it'll look a lot like the Kentucky series. Tennessee, Kentucky got on base. They were stealing. They
Yep.
were bunting. That's the style of play that Vanderbilt is winning with this year and most years. So I think if Vandy wins the series, it's going to look like that. But yeah, look, it's hard. It's hard for Vandy when you play Tennessee right now. I'll say this too. I think Vandy with the coaches they brought in a couple new assistant coaches, and they have some new transfers. I think it helps that a lot of the leaders on this year's team weren't a big part of Vandy's team last year. Like Brody Johnston wasn't here last year, so and he's a kid from Tennessee, he's from the Chattanooga area. He's going to be motivated to win this series. Riley Nelson, they haven't been a part of the losing to Tennessee. They have another guy, Mac Rose, who DHs for them a lot. I know there's older guys like RJ Austin and Jonathan Vastine who have been a part of the losing and haven't even beaten Tennessee since they've been here. So there's still guys like that. But I think it helps that Vandy brought in a few guys that are a big part of their lineup that haven't been a part of losing to Tennessee, especially
Yep.
Connor Fennell on Sundays, and then even Cody Bowker, who's been pretty solid on Saturdays. So I think that helps. Um, but these are two great coaches, two great elite programs. Still, I know Vandy's fallen off a little bit, but it's always fun. There's something's going to happen this weekend that's going to go viral on social
Yeah.
media. I can already see the thing with Connor Fennell on Sundays is he goes really fast, and the new rule with the pitch clock is as soon as the batter makes eye contact with the pitcher, that ball can be thrown. And that's what Fennell does. As soon as the batter looks at him, if he's not in the stretch, he's throwing. So keep an eye on that on Sunday. I can already see Vitello just just exploding because of that. There's been some coaches. One of them got ejected. I forget who it was. But it might have been Georgia's coach, Wes Johnson. He was just so fed up with it. So I could see that happening and having some fireworks on Sunday. But guys, I can't wait for this. It's always my favorite series of the year. I know it is for y'all, and I'm so excited to watch it. I'll actually be up there for it, hoping to be there for all three games. But we'll be talking about it all week in Nashville. If you want to tune in to 94.9, the fan. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook with the George Plaster Show, and then we'll be doing a podcast this week for Vandy 24/7. So we'll be covering it, and I'll be there, and hopefully I don't rile up the Tennessee fans too much. But I love it. I love when these two get together, and it's going to be a blast.
I hope you do rile up our fans, Billy.
We need
I'll
it.
try something.
This team needs any spark they can get. But Billy, we appreciate it. We'll go ahead and let you go. Drive safe, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Well, Jimbo, what's your official prediction?
Ah, man, I can't, and I'm mainly doing this for Tennessee bias because I can't, I can't say that Tennessee's going to lose the series because Tennessee is very talented. Their team's so good. It's just I don't know what it is. I do think the crowd, if the weather is good, it's gonna be packed. This fan base is angry. I think the baseball team's angry, and they're playing their cross-state rival, and
Yeah.
this is a big series, and the team knows it. The fans know it. The coaches know it. The media knows it, everybody. So I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna say we sweep them. We haven't been playing well enough to say that right now. I do think Liam Doyle does Liam Doyle things, um, and keeps us in it. Uh, and I think Marcus Phillips maybe has a good game because, like Billy said, he he plays with a lot of passion in the series. Um, so I think we take Friday, Saturday, and I just think the whole bullpen thing is just not really doing well for Tennessee this year. So I say we take two, lose one, preferably Friday, Saturday, and then you know, if you win Sunday, you win Sunday. If you lose, whatever. But I think Tennessee finally wins the series and continues the winning tradition against Vanderbilt for this past couple of years. So that's my prediction. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if you said we lost because uh, that's just it's realistic right now. They're playing not that
Yeah.
great. So
You know, I think another thing that's been plaguing Tennessee, I mean, and I know this sounds like it's going to sound like cope. It might be cope, but the baseball luck that they've had these last 4 or 5 weeks has been awful. Like yesterday, we get a guy on first. We put on a hit and run, and I remember who it was. It might have been Bargo. Lines right at the second baseman, just on a
mm,
rope, double play, and then the next batter, Clark hits. It's a double off the wall. So there's a couple runs off the board for you. I mean, it's just
mhm.
the luck has been bad. The hitting hasn't been there, even with the bad luck. I mean, it's. I think some of that turns this week. I'm not saying all of it does, so I'm not predicting a sweep either. But I do think we find a way to win this series. Like
You
with
got to.
Tony's performance on Sunday, going to every umpire and basically telling them that they're trash, which they were. It's not the whole reason we lost. I think it was a contributing factor, but they were terrible.
This thing at first base when he went like that.
Yeah,
Tell him the strikeout thing.
and he tossed a little stool on the field as a nice
Yeah.
cherry on top. Hopefully that motivates the team. Maybe that puts a spark in them. Playing Vanderbilt will certainly put a spark in them. It better put a spark in them. But I feel like you said, if we do win it, it's Friday, Saturday. Billy kind of scared me about Sunday. That's the only reason I'm not predicting a sweep. So
Yeah. Oh well, our Sunday pitching hasn't been
yeah,
fantastic. I
and
mean, and
that
it's
too.
sad to say because you're at this point you're starting AJ Russell. That was your that was going to be your number one guy.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
he hadn't gotten hurt, he probably wouldn't be here to be honest.
yeah.
But um, but yeah, I mean, would I love the sweep? Absolutely, because that'd be the funnest week of talking shit there is.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I agree. I think Tennessee figures it out because if I'm Tony Vitello, Josh Elander, Frank Anderson, you have a team meeting, and it's a come to Jesus meeting.
yeah,
Because if I'm the coach, and I'm sure he does this, they are loaded with talent. They have one of the best rosters in the country,
mm-hmm.
and I feel like they're in their head because you're losing at home. Like you said,
Yeah,
you're 8-4 on the road. Like you're playing great on the road, but take it to the home. If you could get a sweep, we're talking possibilities of hosting a super.
yes.
So, and then that brings the motivation into that Arkansas weekend. So, figure it out some way, somehow, figure it out, and we'll be okay.
Figure it out.
It pisses me off, dude. Like,
You know, like I said, spark from Tony on Sunday. Spark just played in Vanderbilt, your in-state rival, who you've played well against. There ought to be some confidence there too, and the spark of you're needing wins now for your postseason positioning. Like
mm-hmm.
it's put up or shut up time if you want to
Oh
have
yeah,
a good path to Omaha. So
oh yeah.
we'll see what happens, man. But 2-1 is our prediction. Um, Other news this week around University of Tennessee: two more basketball additions for the roster. Biggest one to me, at least, is Clarence Masamba from from France. Dude playing against grown men for the last few years. Um, that's a really exciting add to me. And then the other one, Amari Abram from La Tech. Both are really exciting adds to me. Um, right now, this roster's looking pretty good, top to bottom now, Jim.
Yeah, I feel like they're just missing one more shooter.
Yeah,
Now, again, a lot of people don't know. I mean, Jordan Gainey's hanging around. Um, if that, you know, whole thing goes through, I don't know. Do they save the spot for him? Because they're saving one spot. They have one more spot, one scholarship left for. Is it possibly Gainey? Yes, but I feel like if you could sneak one more shooter, which would be a Gainey,
yep,
this team is lethal. This team, I'm not saying best team in the country, but they are lethal. Um, and Ament, the kid I've watched film on him,
yeah,
he is Kevin Durant made over. I mean, just the way he plays, he could shoot the three, drive to the basket, very athletic. This team's gonna be fun to watch. I mean, very fun to watch, especially if Jordan Gainey comes back, because he'll bring leadership
yeah,
to this team. And I mean, he was a great piece last year. So
yeah. Um, like I said, and like you reiterated, I mean, the roster's looking better and better with each addition. I mean, that's how most rosters go. But like every player we bring in, I'm not thinking oh just to fill things out. I'm thinking these guys can contribute meaningfully. You know,
oh yeah,
like it's not like let's just get this guy for safety. It's these guys can contribute to the team and get us to the promised land of their first Final Four. Um, did you feel any type of way that Rod Clark left to go to?
no,
Yeah,
I do think it's a stupid decision. I mean, you're going to. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Indiana, throughout the years has been fantastic, but they've been not that great the past couple years, and you're, you know, coaching with a Hall of Fame coach to a program that's been to the tournament numerous years in a row
yep,
and has been at the top of the SEC. So very, very weird, but I've heard Amara Morgan is a fantastic recruiter and a great replacement for him. So
yeah.
it's going to be very interesting to see how he does. But have you felt like I feel like Rick Barnes isn't even close to being done?
No, he's had this last month, with all this occurring, and I'm sure he has help from his staff. But just watching him on the caravan that came through Nashville and across the state this last week, and just his media availabilities, he seems like he's had more energy than he's ever had at Tennessee.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like he seems excited about this roster he's putting together. So I 100% agree. Like I think he has two or three more runs at this thing, in my opinion.
Can I just say something about this though? I wish Rodney Rice would have came here because I think if Rodney Rice was on this team would have been like nuclear.
Yeah,
And that's why I think I'm not saying Tennessee basketball is going to be good. I'm getting season tickets. They're missing one piece for them to be above the bar. I feel like they're at the bar, but like you could be above the bar with one more shooter.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I guess our first choice for the shooter was the guy from Virginia. Missed out on him pretty early on. Then Rodney Rice, another miss. But really, when you only have two misses when you're trying to fill out 8 or 9 spots, I'm not feeling too bad about it. But like you said, Rodney Rice would have been. I would have been nasty, especially with the rapport he has with Gillespie already. I mean, it would have been fun to watch, but I still think, like you said, they'll be perfectly set up to make another run at it. Um, Brother, we finally got a transfer out of the portal worth noting.
Oh man, yeah, yes we did.
For football, I mean, Colton Hood from Colorado. He has similar PFF numbers to Jermod McCoy.
All
Like,
American.
Yeah, I mean this is not some like depth piece ad. This is a guy who's probably going to come to Tennessee and play a lot of snaps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I have it right here. Comparing him to Jamal McCoy. Jamal McCoy had 4 interceptions, 6 PBUs, 53.6 passer rating allowed. Colton Hood, and Colton Hood was playing behind Travis Hunter, Heisman
Yeah,
Trophy winner. Uh, 2 interceptions, 5 PBUs, 51.7 passer rating allowed. And we're not even talking about Ricky Gibson. Ricky Gibson was fantastic last year too.
yeah,
And then you got Boo Carter and Jordan Thomas is back. Tennessee has a fantastic secondary. I mean, once McCoy gets fully back
yeah,
into it, which I assume he's going to sit the first 2 games and come back for that Georgia game. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, they're
yeah.
going to let him rest as much as he can. Um, and then Boo Carter coming back. I mean, this defense, Tennessee's going to rely on this defense a lot this year. Obviously, we have a lot of question marks around the offense. I think Tennessee has all the offensive weapons in the world. It's just
They're
how
improving.
good is Joey Aguilar? Does he?
Yeah,
Does Josh Heupel turn him into a something? But yeah, Colton Hood, fantastic pickup, especially with McCoy being hurt right now and
yeah.
not knowing his status. But fantastic player. I mean,
I mean,
Colorado fans were pissed that he left.
yeah. Um, I mean, even with the departure of Jacoby Thomas officially this past week, I mean, it still seems like if all goes correctly, barring any more injuries than McCoy's ACL that he'll be dealing with to start the year, like this could be a no-fly zone type of secondary. As long as we can get a decent pass rush, it doesn't even have to be as good as last year's. Just has to be decent, and this secondary could be a ball hawking turnover machine.
Yeah, I think the defensive line's gonna be fine. I mean, between Joshua Josephs, Davian Hobbs,
Caleb Herring,
Caleb Herring, you're gonna have plenty of guys getting after the quarterback. Because I mean, last year we weren't like super fantastic in that, and
you
you
know,
got James Pierce and Joshua Josephs, Omar Norman Lott, Omari Thomas. Tennessee would be just fine on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. With Arian Carter, T. Lander, their linebacker room's absolutely stacked with talent. To me, it's the offense. And
yeah,
the way our offense was last year, I mean, we still averaged what 35, 33, 35 points a game, and we weren't that great.
yeah. I think that number is a little bloated from the Kent State and all those other BS
Yeah, we're
games, but
talking like 28 points realistically
yeah,
against
somewhere
good
between
teams.
like 25, 28 points a game in conference play. But you know, the defense got you 10 wins there because the offense scored enough to where the defense could, carry the load last year.
Yeah,
And like you said, maybe that's the same situation again with that unproven. A lot of the playmakers are outside of. I'll give Brazel credit for the Alabama game. Shout out Chris Brazel.
that was a
But
sick catch.
but outside of him and Kitzelman, I mean, and I'll maybe even give Bishop a slide because he dealt with a lot of injuries last year. I think he's
Yeah,
proven enough. But there's just a lot of guys that are gonna have to make a name for themselves from day one. It sounded like,
and we don't even know who the starting quarterback is.
yeah, yeah. The more I hear, the more I think the I think you're right about McIntyre. I think they don't want to play him.
Yeah, they don't.
Um, so you're looking at Merklinger or Joey. I mean, but like we mentioned last week, this offense is very friendly to quarterbacks if it's the
Oh
right
yeah,
one. So, but I'm excited to watch him. I mean, I think me and you talked about it last week. The names in the tight end and running back room and wide receiver room, while unproven, are pretty exciting when you look at them
oh yeah, fantastic athletes.
all at once. I
Yeah,
mean, tight ends you have Kitzelman, Ethan Davis, Son Brame, Jack Van Dorsler. Running back Bishop, Peyton Lewis, Star Thomas, Dwayne Morris. I
pretty
mean,
good offensive line. I mean, David Sanders is question marks because he's young, but
yeah. I mean,
um,
that's the thing. It's going to be a young offense, but that doesn't mean that they can't be good. I mean,
yeah,
this is
and if Joey Aguilar gets that QB1, he's got a lot of experience. And like you said, quarterback friendly. He's not going to be throwing those passes. I mean, we run the ball more than we throw it. And I think
Yeah.
Joey Aguilar's got the accuracy and arm strength to really benefit in this offense, kind of like Hendon Hooker. He likes to run. He kind of runs like Hendon Hooker to where he
Yeah.
knows when he's got to get out of the pocket and run. And that's how Hendon thrived. And you just never know. You never
Yeah.
know. I'm excited about this football team. I think it's very realistic. Tennessee could surprise a lot of people this year.
Yeah. It'll just depend on people making a name for themselves. That's my thoughts on it right now. And by the way, like you said with the running game, the only reason Glenn Ellerby is not fired is because we average 200 yards a game on the ground every year. So yes, that's going to be a huge factor for whoever is the quarterback. You have
Well,
that.
to me, yeah,
Go
when you
ahead.
spread that offense, I don't think it's Ellerby. I think it's just
Well, the
when you
offensive line has
have
to be competent to
yeah, oh
rush
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
200 yards.
Well, and they had a lot of fantastic offensive linemen throughout his years, but
Yeah.
it's just without that running, it's like, and like I said, Hendon Hooker was a phenomenon. Like just
I
crazy
think I've
good.
said it before. Hendon Hooker was put on this earth to run Joe Heupel's offense, and the 2 years he did it, it was electric. And
It was art.
here's to hoping that happens again with Joey or Jake this upcoming season.
I think with Joey's chip on his shoulder,
Yeah.
I think he's going to turn into. I'm not going to give him like he reminds me a lot of Pavia,
Yeah.
a little bit bigger, but you know, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's got a lot to prove. And to me, he got the better side of what Nico got. Nico's going to those 30,000 fans at the games, if
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
to where Joey's coming in and tell me something. If Tennessee goes to Atlanta, beats Syracuse, Joey has a 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns, even 1 interception, right? And they spank the team the second game, right?
Yeah.
And Georgia's coming to town. That place will be a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
Because this fan base, we will get around that quarterback if you give us a performance like that in week 1, to where you just don't know. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to say,
Yeah.
all right, bet. You want to get rid of me? Nico's better than me, whatever. Nah, not today. And I think that's what Josh Heupel and coaches are going to tell him. They doubted you, bro. They went and got Nico, the 5-star, who was mediocre at Tennessee. He wasn't even.
Yeah.
So
You're talking about a guy who's been doubted his whole career too. He started in JUCO before he even got to App State. Like,
yeah, and this is the guy that will lead Tennessee to the promised land. That's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be hilarious. All these Georgia fans talking smack. Oh, we beat you 7 years in a row. You haven't beat us in forever. Joey Aguilar, like the App State quarterback, comes into Tennessee and beats Georgia somehow. You know what I mean? That's the storyline I could just sniff from a mile away.
it's a Disney movie, baby. It's a Disney movie.
I will literally get if he beats Georgia, Bama, Florida, like any of those teams, he's getting a jersey. It's going up in here somewhere.
I'm getting his face tattooed on my face if he does that.
If he wins a Cincinnati, I'll do that. I'll get a Joey Aguilar portrait. I will. Live on air. You heard it here first. If he wins a natty, I'll get it. I'll get it anywhere. I don't care, honestly.
You got any more thoughts tonight, man?
No, I think Tennessee baseball is going to turn around this week. I don't want to. I can't believe I'm saying it because I've cursed them the whole last couple weeks, but I think they got the talent. They got the fans are going to be rowdy this week. It's going to be nice weather. They're going to go out orange out on Friday. Let's go take it. That's all I got to say. Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols.